السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Lata and Shaykh Khalid. How are we today?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Have you guys been? What's been happening?
Alhamdulillah, not much, just holidays. As
So,
usual.
what's been exciting in your week, Lata? You've been regaling us every week. Tell us what's new.
Man, it's always the same. Things
It's
new.
building up to something
I'm
amazing.
building up slowly. We'll get there.
He's going to be like Mount Vesuvius and take out Pompeii or something like that. When he does something so exciting, his heart won't be able to handle it. And I think neither will ours once he tells us. What about you, Shaykh Khalid? What's been happening with you?
It's a lot of talks, lectures. It's holidays, so it's quiet. But then the masjids are busy as well. So last week I went to PGCC in Dandenong.
Oh, the sleep. Oh, yep.
No, sleepover was done the night before, but they explained to me how it went and so forth. I don't think they do it on a regular, but this is sort of the first time. They had 60 kids, mashallah, sleep over at the mosque, and so they gave me a rundown of how it went. And
So what happened with what talk did you go for then?
the next day the talk was build yourself, build the ummah. So it wasn't like a specific topic. It was more like how to build a community, right? On what basis you build a community. So we need to create a knowledge-based community, and it came down to that Sahaba radiallahu anhum, who were in Medina Munawwara that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved a lot. The young men, there's 70 of them. They used to spend their time. They were called the Qurra.
So Muslim community.
Yeah, like how we get our community active and what are the things. So even for my mosque, I'm putting forward to the brothers there that alhamdulillah we have the Quran classes. So those Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they used to learn and teach the Quran to each other. They were called the Qurra, the Qaris, right? And second thing, they used to be engaged in ibadah in the night. So a knowledge-based and a ibadah, worship-based community. And thirdly, they used to go out in the morning and collect firewood and sell it in the market. And the money they used to distribute among the fuqara, the poor, destitute people of Medina, and Ashab al-Sufa spend on them. So a khidmah, like service.
How did the guys receive it? What were they thinking about?
It was
when they
good. The
listened
brothers
to
were like, because there were so many different angles you can approach it. But like the backbone of the community has to be these things: knowledge, ibadah, and khidmah, service of the community. That'll make a very resilient community that can attend to all the needs of the society and so forth. And you build a whole jamaat, like there was a whole group of people that you can do. There's some mosques like that already. Alhamdulillah, I'm not saying that, but it's just something like we need to ground it in very into our sources in the Quran and the Sunnah and so forth. So it was just.
Was it young or old guys mostly there listening?
There's
Not that it matters, but just who was
no,
receiving
mainly
it?
young, like middle-aged and younger, like in 20s and some teenagers
excellent.
as well.
Yep.
So, and making them appreciate they have a masjid and encouraging them for that, like to make the masjid alive. Some brothers requested to talk about that. I said, you're lucky you're not the imam. The imam comes here as a job. He has to, listen to you guys just walk in, walk out, enjoy salat.
Actually, that's a good point.
You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to talk to anybody. I mean, you should talk, give salam to people, but you just come in and do your ibadah in a relaxed way. You're not thinking.
Is that a different type of pressure? I never thought about that. What do you reckon,
I enjoy
Lata? 'Cause,
going.
we just walk in, we do our thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
think
never give it a thought. Just walk in, do my
Pray.
salah, pray, dua, I'm
Yeah.
out.
You never
No.
Yeah,
different level of prayer. Never.
It's one
actually,
of the.
I never considered that.
Yeah, when I go into another masjid, somebody else's masjid, when I don't have to lead the salat and I don't have a program there,
All
it's
yours,
very-
buddy.
It's very relaxing. It's
all yours.
Then I get to feel like a normal Muslim, But when you're in your own masjid, then you sort of have to. You have all these other list of things to do, or someone's waiting for you, or someone just came before salat. I usually don't like talking to people immediately before salat.
Yeah.
Because if they tell you, then the whole salat you think about their problem.
Subhanallah.
So you can't sort of just come after
You're
salat.
not in the zone.
Yeah. So the brothers, you have to tell them, brother, I can't talk to you now. The worst is before Jummah because there's a khutbah. So you don't want anybody. I said, I'll see you after Jummah, because if they tell the problem, your brain starts working on their problem. It starts to your Jummah topic goes all over the
So
place.
a note to all those people that go to Shaykh Khalid's Masjid, the Ummah Center, if he says, brother, I'll talk to you after Jummah, he's not telling you that he doesn't want to hear it. He's just telling you not right now.
Yeah. Don't come before Jummah at all.
You get that very often though?
No, every Jummah. There'll be what are you talking about? That's like, I realize it was affecting the way I address people because there's a lot of negativity comes before Jummah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, but you don't want to be dealing with that before you address the community. You know?
Subhanallah. So you go in with that mindset or with that, what's the word I'm looking for? With that focus, I suppose.
Well, it doesn't focus you. It distracts you from the actual topic you are going to talk about. So it's nice to go to another masjid and where you don't have a program and you don't have to lead the salat and you just go there quietly, and especially if they don't. The best is if they don't know you, that community doesn't know you. So
mashallah.
You can
just a random in the corner.
Yeah, you can just be one of the little people, you know.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, anyway.
Mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Other than that, like they had it, mashallah, was they're a good community, and mashallah, really like the amount of programs and things they were telling me something about, you need discipline. Okay, someone's been a school teacher. What are you talking about? You've got 60 young teenagers coming to the masjid, and what do you think? Like, he goes, it was very.
What sort of discipline does he want?
No. Like in terms of like he was just saying that like they were not ready for like what they needed to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there was a mix. You know, our kids or a lot of Muslim kids, they have a very high tolerance when it comes to discipline because their parents are strict.
Yeah.
So when you use words, they don't have much of an effect. So, you know, you got to approach, you got to use different.
That is such a good point. Like if at school, I don't know about you, Lata, but, or I don't know about yourself, Sheikh, I don't think you would have had this experience, but when you get bashed at home for doing something wrong, and then you go to school and the teacher's like,
in front of the teacher.
You go to the corner. And the teacher's like, right,
yeah, no worries.
You're in trouble. You're not getting recess and lunch. You're going to be with me. And you're just like,
Yeah, there's like, it's almost not a consequence. Yeah.
All right. This podcast is brought to you by Australasian Home Developments, osthomes.com.au. Whether you want to build a new home, renovate, extend, or you have a heritage restoration or multi-unit development, Australasian Home Developments will be there every step of the way. They are Melbourne's premier end-to-end construction company for homeowners, investors and developers. With all the government incentives available, what better time than the present to move into your own home? Sounds daunting, and sometimes we can even put it in the too hard basket. It's only hard if you don't know what you're doing. That's where Australasian Home Developments come to the fore. They will simplify everything from designing your home to helping you in choosing the colour of your curtains if you need it. Give them a call on 1300 661 284. That's 1300 661 284, or go to osthomes.com.au. You can also find them on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
There's one time I got in trouble at school because you just reminded me of this, and they called my mother in. And if anyone, you've met my mum, but if you guys have met my mum, she's she's a
warrior.
Yeah,
there's no other word for it.
If I had to choose between who would discipline me, my father or my mother, I'll take my mum, my father any day. You know, because my father's is a bit of an intellect, so he'll just talk to me and son, this is not right. You know,
and he's a very soft man.
And like he's not soft, he's just a calm man.
Yeah, he's calm.
Calm and collected. Whereas my mum, she's just, mashallah, just like you said, like a warrior. Anyway, so they call my mum in, and they've never spoken to my mum before, never met her, so they're like, your son's done this, done that, right in front of him. My mum just looks at me, across the table, smack right across the face. And then the teachers just drop everything and jump at her, and they're just like, calm down. But don't do that.
That was don't do that.
Yeah. Old school.
Oh man, the stories. When I was
of course,
in
we
school.
don't condone these type of
No,
things
of
because
course
it's illegal
not.
in Australia.
100% not.
Yeah.
Do not touch your children.
Yeah, full parenting.
There was one lady that I met, and she was like, this boy, I don't know what to do with him. He drives me crazy. I go, listen, you can't hit your kids, right? This is not the place for it. And her response was, but I can't get a satisfaction and release until I do. I'm like, you can't do that. Like this is a major problem. And I think that's something even within our communities, like going back to what you're talking about, Shaykh Khalid, that it's actually desensitizing our kids. We laugh about it, we joke about it. That oh yeah, I got bashed by my parents or whatever. But it's actually desensitizing our kids.
Yeah, one of the sheikhs said that if you reach that level because you failed as a parent,
Subhanallah.
you know, so this is like the last line. There's nothing left after this.
Yeah.
Like what else are you going to
Yeah.
do? So
What can you do?
yeah, exactly. It's like you've actually reached point of failure, like almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not something that it doesn't. How do you change the person? You know, like what's the, you know, like you have to change the person, the behavior, and so forth. We had a teacher. I remember one teacher we had in high school, is Turkish, and subhanallah, he never raised his voice, never shouted at us, and our classes like Lebos and Turks, and you know, like it was like a very rough class. I think we're the most roughest class in the school, and like a teacher used to go out. We had like teams of wrestling. So what happened was so when they came back, like the teacher came back, all the tables and chairs are upside down and whatever. It was not a good class. But this teacher and the students used to swear and so forth. But this teacher, he sat us down. I think they were saying using a certain swear word to astaghfirullah azim to their mothers, and very offensive. But what happened was he heard it or something. So he sat us all in a circle. And then he talked to us calmly, like adults. This is not the right way. Like, you know that you wouldn't like someone saying this to, why would you say this to someone? You know, like just like he just talked it out.
Subhanallah.
I never heard that after again, that word.
Subhanallah.
He just talked to us like adults and without shouting, without anything, just come. And he was amazing because you can never get under his skin.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
You can never get under, like he would never react to, like students make fun of him, his appearance or sometimes or whatever. And nothing, like he was like Teflon, you know, like non-stick, nothing stuck to him. I don't know, maybe he went at home and cried at night time, but in front of us.
Is that what you did when you were a teacher?
And but he never ever, you never see anything from him like that he's losing his cool. There were other teachers, they were famous. And you know, high school, year 10, 11, 12, you know that the students, when they can get under the teacher's skin,
it's over.
Yeah.
they push it even further. I don't know, you haven't been in the school inside a street. They're like, astaghfirullah. Like,
you know,
we had a teacher who had a breakdown in front of us. It was Doncaster Secondary.
That's standard.
Yeah, he had a break. No, right in front of us. He threw a chair. he lost it. He threw a chair, and he was an old white Australian man, and he just lost it. And you remember back, the pain that people through.
Yeah, that's actually bad, man.
Yeah,
you know. But you know what I found with kids, when you sit down and actually try having a conversation with them in terms of treat them like an adult, or actually not get angry when they're expecting like anger, and have a conversation with them, that is more painful for them than if you just hit them.
It is, yeah.
I remember having a conversation with my son, and I walked in and I was furious, and I said, listen, today I'm going to be like one of those dads that they tell you to be like on TV and in all the books. We're going to have a sit down and have a conversation. So let's discuss your actions. After about 10, 15 minutes discussing, like 10 minutes of talking like this, he just looks at me and goes, Baba, can you just be like an ethnic dad and just bash me up and then it's all over? Okay, now we're going to continue this conversation for another half an hour, which we proceeded to do.
The lessons of life.
The lessons of the birds.
Oh,
The birds and the bees combo was the best.
Yeah. No, they look. I think you see the way people dress, even like just forget about character and behavior. Just watch I was listening to something today. They said if you look at a football match or cricket match or football match from 70 years ago, everyone's got their hats and they're in suits. You know, when they traveled in suits.
Yeah.
Now people travel in their pajamas.
There's still there are still old
guys.
guys.
No, they dress up and they
leave
can
their house without their hat.
Yeah.
Without the old school, it's not a bowler hat, but you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, there was actually they considered part of their demeanor, the way they talked, how they talked, what they said, how they dressed, presentation, and that came into the kids,
and the behavior of
they'll muck around always, but like that's all gone now. And the sad thing is like for us as Muslims, like them losing that, then what happens is the Muslims, they're not getting, like there's many Muslims, kids that don't know. I notice in maktab and like teaching, and they don't know how to say most Muslim kids don't know how to say please, thank you. They don't know how to say it. Because their
That's
parents
true.
don't use it.
That's very true.
Their parents don't know that in English, those are the mannerisms and that's like good character. It's actually part of deen, but it's no idea. Parents have no idea about it.
So what do we do to get it back? How about we start a movement of please and thank you from today?
Yeah, just Jazakallah khair and Shukran. In Arabic, it's there. In our own languages, it's there. But I think it's not translated, like, because we live in English and then, like, in English-speaking country, we don't translate those sort of good manners and speech. But anyway, most of this week, last week, what are we doing? I just noticed everybody's sort of cleaning and catching up on all the...
Speaking, cleaning. I've been on a mission.
You've been on a mission cleaning your garage.
I have been on an absolute cleaning mission the last few days. My garage looked like, what's the best way I can put it? It looked like Maya after their stock take sale. Right? Yeah. Absolute shocker. And the thing is, for me, when I do something, I'm almost OCD to the point where everything's got to be in its correct spot. So if I've got a certain can and I've got, like, say, for example, 2 cans of WD-40, they have to be on the same shelf directly behind each other, not a little bit out. I know it sounds crazy. I don't know why. But the problem is my garage becomes like that like once a month, once every 2 months. Right? And my
all those camping trips.
Yeah, it is actually. That's part of it. But my neighbor even once said to me as he's driving out, he's like, brother, how many times a week do you clean your garage? I go, mate, it's just a never-ending mission. But that was what I was doing. And we are now at a stage where you can walk, you could eat off the floor. I wouldn't recommend it,
clean.
but you could. Lata's a witness to this.
I saw the different stages of the cleanup. The beginning, the middle,
but
and
you do have
the final
a lot of
product.
I've seen your garage as well. There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, there is, mashallah.
There's quite a few.
There's a lot of activity.
It's outdoors.
It's like the the sports. What do they call it in
Rebel Sports?
At the gym. The school gym.
Yeah.
They have that room, storage room.
Storage room. That's it.
There's like footballs. There's like water sports stuff. Mashallah. Yeah.
Mashallah, it's good fun.
You guys got a lot of activities. You do as a family. Other than that, like cleaning,
and another thing, one of the main motivations as well for me to actually get stuck into this is Lata was talking about exercising and starting to exercise, and I was like, well, I need space to exercise, and well, you don't actually, but that in my mind, that's what processed. So I started working out with the garage, so I can do some working out in it. Speaking of exercise, how's yours going?
Exercise. I've been running every day for about an hour. I'm doing 5Ks every day.
Running?
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Yeah. Not running, walking fast. Takes me an hour to do. It's all right.
Walking fast.
Running is the not yet. That's inshallah. But no,
inshallah.
Like very fast walk. Takes me 1 hour to do 5Ks and
that's not bad.
Yeah,
5Ks in an hour is actually not bad at all.
I got to lose, as you can see, I got to lose weight. And so this uncle came to me. He just came to my office and in the mosque, and he said, "You're gonna heart attack, diabetes."
He did not.
Yeah. Goes,
was that before or after
Jummah? He named the list of things, and he said something to me, and then he said, like, he's mashallah very active. And then so I said, all right, my dad's friend, and said, all right, I took it to heart. And then I said, all right, I will start. So I started. Every day when I see him at the mosque, I got to provide a report of him.
Oh, mashallah.
To him, give him an update on how it's going. Because I was proud of myself, like after 3 days, every day I've been doing it. He said, yeah, that's not enough. You got to do it for the long term. And now you got to make a routine. And so alhamdulillah, like today I've got to do it. After
what time do you usually do it?
In the mornings, mid-morning. It's holidays now, so I'm free during the day.
That's pretty good, mashallah.
Yeah, that's actually, that's mid-mornings. But I got to, once madrasa starts and classes start, I got to really fit it in.
You know what's another good thing that you can do for exercising? It's actually skipping. If you YouTube, but it depends on the quality of your knees as well. If you YouTube the guys that do skipping, bro, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Like a 10-minute skipping is like an hour running on the treadmill.
And
I learned a lot about it. I started doing it, and then that's, I stuffed my knee up about a month ago, so now I'm struggling to even walk, really. But we shall get there.
Have you tried just using stairs?
What do you mean?
Well, actually, yeah, because I mean, I say that because I live in an apartment. So what I do is instead of using the lift using the lift, I just use the stairs. And what I like to do is go all the way up to the top, then back
Of your
down, then-
apartments?
yeah, I mean it's only 4 stories,
Okay.
so it's not that bad. But just a good 10 minutes going up and down the stairs, it does wonders. It's hectic.
That's amazing. Well, we've got the stairs in the house. I'm always forgetting stuff downstairs, so I'm always walking downstairs to get it.
Yeah.
And you can hear me because sometimes I'll just scream out to my sons, "Oh, can you go get this for me?" Maybe I should start just doing it.
It's those little shortcuts,
Yeah, it is
where
those
you,
little
where you
short-
don't have to actually, make a scheduled time for an exercise. But if you do these little things that require a little bit more effort to do your everyday things, I think that goes a long way.
What have you found the differences?
Well, you know when you're about to go and do a workout, it's that mental battle that you got to go through of like, yep, I got to go do this now. And then when you're doing it, it's that mental battle.
Yeah, pushing through the pain
A
barrier.
lot of it is mental.
Yeah.
Even with the running thing, like yesterday, I was doing it and at a 1.5 kilometer, because I'm trying to do 5 kilometers every day. Then 1.5 is like, I can't do this.
Yeah. The brain
And then
just says stop.
it's weird. Like, you play these psychological games because you've decided to do it. But for the next, like, until you get to 2.5, like the halfway mark, I don't know, it's a psychological barrier maybe, but it's like you're fighting this thing of,
Yeah.
should I go, not go? I've done enough today. And like you keep telling, and you at 2.5, and sort of like you break through it a little bit and then, you keep going.
Yeah.
So a sad thing that's happened this week is the stabbing of the brother that went to do ruqya. Basically he got called by the family because they thought that he was possessed. And when he went there, the guy actually had a massive mental illness, and he stabbed the brother who passed away, and some others were injured. So we, condolences to the family, but at the same time, I think this is a massive wake-up call for our community to understand that not everything can be solved through ruqya, and that not everything is a solution for ruqya. Like sometimes people have mental illness where they need help, or people, medicines, or there's counseling. There's so many different things that are involved. I think that's something we need to be very aware of.
Yeah,
What's your experience in this?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that we are misdiagnosing, and the ruqya industry is in full swing again. It went quiet for a little while because there's always, for some reason, around this industry, there's a lot of, and I call the industry because people are making a lot of money off it. And they, so what happens is when it's done so common and it's happening and so then people see there's something happening in their life. We've had it in madrasa where students are brought, 100% they got a mental illness.
Yeah.
And the parents bring them to us.
Do you here in Australia?
They don't bring him for ruqya. They put him in the hifz or alim course, hoping that will fix him. And I think just sometimes you just have to accept, all right, this child has a certain mental illness, and it needs professional help. And they're not gonna. The ilm course and the hifz course is not gonna fix that. And it's sad in a way because maybe the parents had such high hopes and expectations for their future child, or growing up, and that's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But people, they don't connect the dots, and they're in denial almost, like of accepting that their kid is, in a way. And obviously we got to use the right language, right? We don't want to say they're abnormal or anything like that. What we say is that they're different.
Intellectually challenged. And
they're different, and they can't do certain things, and Allah has absolved them, like the pen is lifted from them, from these. So sometimes I think someone put it nicely because they're almost like malaika, like coming into your house. So they're not going to be punished. They're not going to be thinking. In a way, you have this innocent person that's there, and you've seen families that have.
I've actually.
I've
spoken to you offline about many families or many situations. But there are times when clearly this person, whether it's autism or whether it's another mental illness, they're so far off on the spectrum that this person does not have the capability to live a normal life. And then you've got someone else that comes along in the family that says, you know what the problem with this guy is? He's got a jinn in him.
Yeah.
Now, what that is doing, and I've seen this myself, like just through work and things like that, you're actually doing more damage to the little development or that potential development that person actually has.
Yeah.
So you remove them from, whether it's school or whether it's wherever they're going to seek that extra help, and now you put them into a certain environment where you think that ruqya is going to help him, and sometimes this carries on for months.
Yeah.
Months and months and months, and what's happening is that person's actually regressing even more. And at the end of it, you realize, okay, maybe this wasn't the situation. And another part that's really important to remember with this is ruqya is not a cure for drug addiction.
Yeah.
Right? So that's massive within our
Not a
community as well. Okay, somebody's, whether they're on ice or whether they're whatever drugs or whatever alcohol, whatever they're addicted to.
Yeah.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheikh, but ruqya does not it's not a rehab.
Yes.
That's a completely separate.
And I think, look, we have to go back to the asl, right? Back to the origin, which is, where do we take our teachings from? So everything comes through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam grabbing people and tying them down and hours reading upon them?
No.
These things are like.
So where did they come from?
I think some people have built it up, and it works in their favor to build it up to the point of where, like,
It's like almost like a sales pitch.
oh, it's 100%. It's a business.
No,
For
but
many people, it's there. And I mentioned this before as well. I think I mentioned this a few podcasts ago, that this is not one of the muftis in Pakistan, Mufti Tariq Masood. He's got whole programs on it talking against these people.
Yeah.
And he's saying these people, they've like taken to the next level. And the people that say that we can do something, he goes, all I want you to do is, if you can make my phone silent.
What?
Like the sheikh, he's challenging all these people that can do something.
Yeah, okay,
he goes, I challenge you to make my phone silent.
Yeah.
You know, he goes, you can't even do that. And these one thing is the brother who went to do that, he probably meant well, and the family probably put pressure on him and said, please help us. And sometimes you're put in a position that
And it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
and it's hard to say no, and people start crying in front of you, and they break down over the phone, and depends on the person how hard-hearted he is, he will react. And and he went, and unfortunately he was put in a situation, and the family has now, they've got that weighing on them, like that family now. Can you imagine they will be blaming themselves, and whether they should or not, but it's ma qaddar Allah sha, whatever Allah willed happened. And he got tested, he went out of goodwill to help somebody, and this is a test that him and his family. But
I think our families, for me, like it's not so much the brother that went to do ruqya in this situation, but our families or people that when we have somebody that's got certain issues, we actually need to look at this and go, okay, how do I get help? Don't make ruqya. This is my Sheikh, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an alim, but do not make ruqya your first point of call. Have a look at what the situation is. How long has this been going on for? So we do have within our community certain elements, certain aspects where drugs are a problem, and many times parents don't even realize that it's drugs. So this is what
why they're acting strangely.
Yeah, they just think, someone's done. My son was perfect. Someone's done something to him. Or my daughter was perfect. Someone's done something to her.
Yeah.
Maybe that child has done it to themselves, and it is hard as a parent to look and say, okay, maybe the problem is with my son or my daughter or my child, and at the same time not blame yourself. This is very important. Not think it's a failure in your parenting or you've gone wrong somewhere. I mean, we know many people kids of walis, that you wouldn't believe, the father's like this, the mother's like this, but look how the child turned out. But then at the same time, you have the opposite, where the father's like this or the mother's like this and the child's turned out a wali. So this is not a thing of I failed, but this is an opportunity to go, okay, where do I fix? How can I help? So don't make it about yourself, make it about the child, or make it about the problem.
In conclusion, regarding that thing, it's sad what happened to the brother, unfortunately. But in terms of ruqya and so forth, I even made a video in a few months ago. I said, don't waste your money and do ruqya yourself. I mean, why are the sheikhs insisting on doing the ruqya themselves? That's the first thing. Read Surah Fatiha, if that's what's in the hadith is mentioned, right? read Surah Fatiha, Qul Allahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu Falaq, Qul A'udhu Rabbin Nas, Ayatul Kursi.
So I have a question, Sheikh. So,
Yep.
so does that? Are you saying the best ruqya is the one that you do yourself on yourself?
The best ones the parents do for you, someone sincere and they make dua really for you, they care about you, they make dua. What I'm saying is, what is the Fatiha is Fatiha.
Yeah.
You know, just correct your intention, do it for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah, and do it. Like, why do you need to create this whole process of bringing someone from the other side of the world? That's happened as well.
Yeah.
Bringing
From the
somebody,
other side of the world?
rich people pay a lot of money for
In this
ruqyah.
scenario, the
Yeah.
person
You'll be
isn't
surprised
from
at how
Australia.
wealthy the people are that actually involve themselves.
I
And
don't think this brother was charging money. I don't know.
no, I'm not talking about this brother.
Yeah. So
Like
we just want to make this very clear. It's not about
but I'm
this
saying
brother,
the
just
general industry that has been created around this, number one. Number two is the stories that they tell, and they confuse people, and then they connect. These guys got YouTube channels now. They make money like in large amounts. What's happened is they've created this industry and storytelling, and they keep talking about it so much that someone who's maybe got a problem, as you mentioned, like there's a mental problem and whatever drug problem, they connect some dots that are not there. Then automatically the raqi, the person doing the ruqyah, he will come and he will save the day.
Yeah.
Right. So, and these guys play up to this as well, and we'll do multiple sessions and so forth. So that's the background that's been created, unfortunately, in the community. My general advice is read Manzil, the collection of which is there from the Quran and the Hadith is mentioned. These are the ayat that I mentioned that the ulama collected. Read these morning and evening for yourself. Blow in water, blow in oil, rub on the body, and that's it. Like move on. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sihr was done to him. Sihr is real, jinn is real, nazir is real. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just after Qul A'udhu Rabbi Falaq, Qul A'udhu Rabbi Nas was revealed, he only sought refuge with Allah with these two surahs. End of story. Why we need to do all this other stuff, hours and hours, and our whole deen becomes. Putting that aside, in the specific case here, obviously, whatever was happening, it triggered. But I've seen it with my own eyes in a masjid, not in masjid where I'm at, but another masjid when I was young, growing up.
Yeah.
And someone is screaming top of their lungs and people have grabbed him. Guy's got clear mental. I remember as a teenager, 15, 16 years old, we know this guy's a mental, he's got mental issues.
Yeah.
Right? He's got mental issues. This is not going to be fixed by ruqyah.
Yeah.
Right? I remember because he was listening to Vanilla Ice in the toilets or what. I don't know what it was. It used to do strange things, but we knew that this person was not he's got some schizophrenia or some things to come to the mosque. This person is not mentally healthy, right? So, but the brothers are naive. Maybe at that time, this is 90s. We're talking about mid 90s. So they're naive about it, and they tried to, and they grab him. There was a big guy as well, and tried wrestling him and grab him, and they tied him down and stuff, trying to exercise him, So
and how was he at the end of it?
he started to calm down, and they released him. He bolted, so he just ran for it. So he's just waiting for them. He tricked them. So these are the sort of things. Like, it shows the naivety of many brothers. They mean well, but I think some advice was given as well that not to do this. But it doesn't make it. If you're going to force. I've had students being brought to madrasa. The parents don't say nothing to us. He's got a mental health issue.
Oh, they don't tell you anything.
Nothing. Hoping for the best. Good luck.
Just palm him onto you, and that's it.
Yeah, and then we're wondering something's not right here, and we don't know because you don't want to judge person. Oh, it's just different. That's where you start off with. Someone does something unusual, and then after. They don't tell you nothing. This is 3 times it's happened to me. 3 specific
They
cases.
don't tell you anything.
They don't say nothing. And then we're getting 4 times. And then one of them was the kid's making funny faces at me, and I'm like, and he's got mental health issues, and I'm thinking he's just being smart.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And they didn't say anything. And the reason they explained is, we don't want it to make him feel different. Yeah, I wouldn't have
Treated him differently.
because if I knew that, if you told me that, but you didn't tell me that, you just. And I'm not trained in special needs students. Another one was totally cannot understand anything.
Yeah.
It's four at least I can remember top of my head, and that's the thing. People.
What do you mean can't understand anything?
He academically cannot comprehend, and then he becomes a disruptive thing in the class, right? And then when you focus on him and tell him off,
Yeah.
then he sort of wakes up a little bit, and then all right, it seems like okay, but then afterwards he just goes back to, and then he's a disruption to the class. And the other students who can able to comprehend the lesson and so forth, like the ones that don't have, they're not challenged mentally in any way. Subhanallah, so once you take them out of the class, the class is functioning normally. But you don't want to pick on a student. You don't want to, and teachers are not trained for it to identify. That's the thing.
Look,
So it's not just about, it's mental health is stigmatized quite a lot in our community, generally Muslim communities.
Yeah, it is.
And because of that, we don't know, because we first or second generation migrants.
Yeah.
Second generation can probably understand it.
Yeah.
But first generation, the societies they come from, it's stigmatized heavily.
You're not allowed to have any mental health problems because otherwise you won't get married, you won't get a job. All
didn't
of
have time
these
for it.
other and they didn't have time for effects. So whereas now, alhamdulillah, being second generation in Australia.
Like, we don't have a word for it in our language. I don't think there's a word for mentally handicapped or
Even in my language, yeah.
there's
Mental
the
health?
words that we use. No, the words that we use for it, if you translate English, would be very offensive.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of those words myself.
Yeah, they don't have
They're
that language.
very offensive.
Yeah, they don't have the language
And
for it either.
But I think that's a conversation that does need to be held within families or within the community. Or I know you're doing it from the mimbar, but about, look, this is a serious issue, especially after this COVID.
Yeah.
After 2020 with the lockdowns and everything like that. The Masjid Carpark is a KU Studios production. KU Studios is a Madrasa Kashful Ulum initiative for the Australian Muslim community. Kashful Ulum is the only full-time non-government funded boarding madrasa down under. It relies solely on contributions from Muslims who want to be part of the development of deen within our community and our country. Please go to supportku.com to do your bit and contribute. All right, so Sheikh, we've got our New Year started 2021. Ramadan it's not just around the corner, but it is. Now, there's something that I really missed last Ramadan, and that was the whole Hilal issue. The sun was sighted, not sighted. Sorry, the moon was sighted, not sighted. Eid's on this day, Eid's on that day. How was that, Lata, for you? It was quite depressing, wasn't it?
Yes. I would definitely agree.
You missing the Hilal
missing
war.
the Hilal war. Now, okay, so this is, I suppose, why do we have this war every year?
Yes,
And why do we not have clarity? Now,
it almost feels like every year there's one additional group or one additional Hilal that goes on top of the other. I remember it used to be 2, there's 3, and then not last year, but the one before COVID, there was 4.
was there?
Yeah, there was.
There's different. I mean, look, usually it falls on 2 days. In the rare I think it has happened on 3 days, right? But that's rare. Usually it's
again,
2. But
I have to stop you there for a second, because you're saying it falls on 1, 2, or 3 days, which means all 3 are allowed. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what's actually happening, right?
I'm
People are having
Eid.
Eid. People are having Eid on 2. Either happen 1 or 2, and in the rare circumstance, it might be 3, right? That's a very extreme rare. And this happens in Western countries where Muslims are minorities. It happens in Muslim countries like Pakistan.
Hilal issues?
Yeah, in Pakistan, yeah.
What?
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, in the northwest, they have their own thing happening sometimes, and the rest of the Pakistanis, it happens.
Is that because they get a special moon?
There's like a
For
one.
the Pathans, this is the Pathans moon that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends out.
Well, let's not specify ethnicities. And
Sorry,
nations
Shaykh
and
Khalid
so forth.
from Afghanistan.
And then there's the people who follow Saudi, people who don't follow Saudi. So there's multiple reasons why we have ikhtilaf. So in the Western countries like Australia, you got many, like you got 2, you could say, broad camps. One is the people they calculate, so it's based on a calculation of the imkan ru'ya, on the possibility of ru'ya, but not actual ru'ya.
What does that mean?
that the
I have no idea what
calendar?
So
imkan
imkan, the
means.
possibility of sighting of the
Ru'ya is
hilal.
sighting?
Yeah, sighting of the
imkan is
hilal.
possibility.
Possibility, yeah. Right?
Okay.
So that's one group. So they follow a calculation of the possibility of sighting without actually sighting, right? Then you've got another camp, which is basically sighting of the hilal. And then in that group, there's multiple groups. Sorry, in the possibility of sighting, people follow calculations. Let's call them the calculation group. So you got some people like whether it be Board of Imams or various organizations, they will follow there's a calculation predetermined. I don't know why they don't just make a calendar for the next 1,000 years, because it's a pre-calculated number.
Yeah.
So for the next 100 years, and just say it. But they create this whole thing of, they wait 3 days before the Eid or Ramadan.
So next year's Eid can be using
if they're following a calculation, then they should know for the next 100 years. Like if they have a method of calculating, then they just generate a spreadsheet, put all the formulas in, and then next 100 years.
Is that what they do?
No,
Isn't there any sighting of the moon from the last
No,
month?
they don't do sighting. There's no sighting. So what
At all?
No, there's no sighting at all. So they make it look like it's sighting by like releasing it 3 days or a week before, which is weird because it's a calculation, and calculations, next million years, what the calculations will be. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. So the Turks, what they do, they have their own calculation, which comes from Turkish government. I don't know who started it. They're the first one. I think they've sort of, like amongst the Sunnis, like Muslims, like the first ones that like en masse, they've implemented it. And they've been following that for like decades and so forth. So they, all over the world, Turks will celebrate, or those Turks that follow the Turkish government, they will follow that.
Even for their own country, not Turkey.
No, they follow all over the world. All Turks do Eid on the same day.
Same day.
Yeah, so to calculate, either see the moon, not see the moon. So my dad, rahmatullah, he was in Switzerland. He was imam there. So he had this friend, Turkish friend. So they went to climb the mountain, like they went very high in the mountains, very beautiful. And they went there, to do Hilal-sighting, it's clear.
Yeah.
And then he asked him, he goes, like, we're sighting the moon for Ramadan. And then, are you fasting? And he goes, yeah. He goes, why are you with me then? Like the Turkish government told you. So the Turkish government have a calculation. So, and they just, it's known, like it's for the next 100 years, there's no possibility of, and people who follow that, they won't budge from that.
So, but that calculation is what? Then the other calculator, that's what you're saying.
So the other calculation guys, they're like trying to do it sort of for Australia, I guess. And these guys do it for the globe, for all Turks all over the world. Like it's a lot more a global calculation. The possibility, like a possibility of seeing it in Australia, possibility of seeing it in the whole world. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's been a revelation to me. So this thing of, Board of Imams releasing 3-4 days before the Eid will be on this day, they actually already know it at the start of Ramadan. If you use that method.
If it's a formula, it, like I know next year's Eid from today.
For the next 10 years, that's correct.
Yeah. So that's
Sheikh Google.
So that's no. That's that they don't do a calculation like that. So, but
okay.
yeah, that's just a guess, like a rough guess of when it will be. The thing is that it's so that, putting that aside, I mean the origin of the calculation, just on the side, it does come from the Fatimiyya Shia. So and Sheikh what's his name? Sheikh Hamza Yusuf from the US, he wrote an article. It's called Caesarean Moon Births.
What?
Interesting.
Because when the moon appears first, the new moon is called a moon birth.
Yep.
Yeah. So the articles is part 1 and part 2. It's called Caesarean moon. It's a very clever wordplay, but Caesarean moon births.
Yeah.
So he actually talks about the history. There were Sunni ulama that were killed in, I think, Tunisia or Egypt by the Fatimiyya. They ruled. They were Shia, Ismaili Shia. They killed Sunni ulama because they refused to follow a calendar. They were like, I think, the first people to come up with a calendar. So it's not even something that Muslims have. This is invented by a sect. So he goes, and he said maybe the reason we're still following actual Hilal sighting in some form is because those ulama, they gave up their life.
Subhanallah.
They refused to. So anyway, putting the calculation or the possibility, and this is what happened. This is, if we now look at the Hilal thing. So the actual thing is established according to all madhahib of fiqh and so forth, that we actually should be doing real physical sighting of the Hilal, right? People should go out and look wherever they are.
But okay, on that note, wouldn't you say, well, this is 20, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
2021, yes, they needed to go 2020. I'd prefer to forget 2020. But actually, no, Ramadan was amazing in 2020. But we live in, 2021, we have so much technology. We've got technology at our fingertips. I mean, I can sit here and sight the moon in China if I want.
No, you can't. You can only see here.
They put a camera.
You got to walk out of this room and look at the sky. You can't see.
No. But if there's a camera there, I can.
But that means you're not sighting the moon. You're
so
sighting.
Are you telling me that it has
the,
to be sighted with the naked eye?
Well, we'll get to the sighting in a second. But yeah, like, I mean, what does sighting mean? You're seeing the actual phenomena, experiencing it. This is, ulama have debated whether telescopes and binoculars can be used, right? We'll get to the calculation, the Hilal actual Hilal sighting. So because the word in the Quran that is used and the words in Hadith is used is about witnessing it, beholding it, is to make shahada. That's what a shahada is. Like, for example, if a crime occurred, right, you're an eyewitness to a crime.
Yeah.
Are you an eyewitness if you see it on a video?
No, subhanAllah.
Yeah, you're not. So the video is there. What do I need you for? There's a video of it. That's evidence, right? But it's not you cannot be eyewitness to something that's on a screen.
Yeah.
Right. Putting that aside, so some ulama have specifically. So let's go to the Hilal, the actual, which is established by Sharia and Quran and Sunnah and so forth. No question about it. That's what we expected to do. We're actually supposed to go. Now, how far? Yep.
Is that when you say that's what we're expected to do, witness? Is that like agreed between all great ulama of the past?
Yeah.
Or is there some ulama they're like, no, you can do
There's
this?
There's like one guy like 700 years ago who's like a very minor figure, and then his own school rejected it, let alone the other three. Like there's in the Shafi school, there's one imam that said it basically, and then the rest of the school, his own school rejected that view, and let alone the other three madahib. Of course they rejected that view. They don't accept that view.
But it was the Fatimids when their Khilafat introduced the...
They weren't
calendar
Khilafah
method?
because they're not Muslim. I mean, they're Ismaili.
Okay. So they introduced the calculation method?
Yes.
How many years ago?
I think that's nearly 1,000 years ago. Yeah. You have to read that article, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf.
Just for
So the Muslims never adopted it. They
didn't adopt it. So
No,
it wasn't that it was
general-
running for 1,000 years.
No,
and then
no.
in some corner of the world, like
No. This is like
So where did this come up again?
This calculation is like a recent thing in the last 50 years.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think people took
Okay.
cue from the Turks.
I didn't know that.
I think they took cue from the Turks that we should also adopt this thing. But anyway, let's.
I always thought it was just a technology thing because it's like, now we've got the technology to do these calculations, and so that's why.
Then your calculation should match at some point So this is what I'll get to the point. When it comes to the Hilal actual sighting, that's where there's a bit of contention, right? In classical fiqh jurisprudence, there is a difference of opinion of how far you can take the sighting from, right? Do you take the sighting from within a city or up to a country or region? How far do you go?
What about global? Can you do global?
Or from anywhere in the world, right? So if you see actually, it's unusual. There's a famous riwayah narration where Sahaba in Damascus and in Medina, they started on 2 different days.
Okay.
And when I think it was Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, when his report was given to him, when did you guys start fasting? Because someone came from there.
Yeah.
We started on a Saturday. So then he said, no, this is what we will complete 30 days here, meaning according to what we've done here, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ taught us.
Yes.
So they didn't see it as a point of disunity or... I mean, a lot of the talk is of unity, right? We should be all united. That's what I was
going to say.
That's a driving... Let me finish.
Different cities.
So there were city-states. They're like 2 different countries in that time. They're not one country, right? The distances may not be like Australia, but so people, like they said, is it really about unity and disunity? Is the Muslims unity and disunity? Because this is one of the things people say.
That's right. Ijma consensus, we want to unite everyone in Australia.
Yeah, but is that really your concern? That the Muslims are united? Because the other 360 days a year, you don't mention anything about the unity of the Ummah.
Isn't either time when the Ummah does come together? So when everyone does come together, we celebrate Eid.
But is Eid done according to when you feel like it, or when you think it should be, or when Allah tells you? This is the contention, right? So people who do calculations, they sometimes, or they follow the board of Imams or ANIC or any of these organizations that follow that, or any masjid that follows it, are they doing it because they're doing it as a Shari'i hukam? Because see, this is the problem, part of the problem as well. Everybody's invested in Eid, even the guy who doesn't pray 5 times salat. I personally don't care about that person. Honestly, I said it. No, you can say it's harsh, but person who's got nothing to do with masjid, salat, community, and his own Islam is 2 days a year. Alhamdulillah, he's Muslim.
Isn't that better
but
than no Islam?
I don't think that person should open their mouth regarding matters of
Okay,
deen.
when it comes to this,
why are they? Because
understand.
they invested in Eid as well, because that's their only investment in deen. Like they invested in like 3-4 days. So
Yeah.
the problem is in the whole ummah is invested in Eid.
Yeah.
So even the guys who don't know akhlaq, they don't know deen, they don't know sharia, they don't know the etiquettes of difference of opinion, they don't know that there can be difference of opinion in deen, they don't know nothing about deen, then they also will chime in and they will go on social media and they will say something, they'll comment. So first thing is like,
Actually, even non-Muslims are invested in Eid because
'Cause
within the prison system,
yeah,
when Eid comes up, there's a lot more conversions. Because
Okay.
before Ramadan, because the food gets better. Seriously.
Astaghfirullah. Yeah, and some
Alhamdulillah.
factories here where I remember in Ford they need to know because a lot of the employees used to be he just Ford across the road here in Campbellfield, so they need to know like when they're Eid because half the workforce is a quarter of the workforce is not going to be there. So they need to know exactly when the day of Eid. But they're lucky because mainly Turks, so they know next 100 years when to make it.
Even more so now. Like when I used to work at my local council, they had a calendar, and
Wow.
it had Eid and Ramadan and
Look,
all that on there.
I think first thing we have to go back is how Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did it.
Sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
And one of the ulama, and maybe people think this might be a bit harsh in Pakistan, he said, I was listening to his talk, and this talk was done like 10, 15 years
Get
ago.
ready for the mic drop, people.
No, he said this, and and please don't take offense if you're following another view, but I'm just quoting.
It's a mic drop moment.
And he said that the people who do calculations, they're stupid, they're bewquf. And he goes, and he made the whole mosque repeat it. Why? Because he said that because the people who follow the calculations, they don't understand love. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to surprise you, whether it's Eid or not. So you come outside, you stand up and look at the sky, looking, is it there, is it there, is it not, and you're waiting for the news. So there's a surprise there. Allah wants to surprise you. And human beings just want to wreck that as well. They want to wreck the surprise. They want to tell you 1 week in advance, when their Eid is. And he goes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't intend it. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went out and he looked at the sky with his naked eyes, and the people, Sahaba, then looked at skies, and the Muslims have more than 1,000 years have done that.
Yeah.
And I think Sheikh Hamza Yusuf talked about it because Allah made it such a beautiful thing that you look up at the heavens beyond what human beings capable of doing. Yeah. And he goes, we somehow want to insert ourselves in there as well. And we want to tell you like, your birthday is going to be at 8 p.m. They're going to surprise you 8 p.m. next week at such and such a place. Like, I mean, although we don't do birthdays, but like they want to wreck, because we want to wreck everything. And that's part of the loss that we have. Like I remember when I was a kid in Pakistan, and I remember the whole suburb coming out after Maghrib.
Subhanallah.
Like in the streets, just thousands of people just standing, looking at the sky, trying to look for the Hilal.
Yeah, nobody in Quebec did that.
yeah, people don't do that anymore. Even the mosque, I remind the brothers to go out to have a look. So it's sort of like, it's killed a little bit of the mystery and the surprise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give you. But back to the Hilal thing. So the issue now is within the actual Hilal camp. Before there was just like basically one camp, but now we've got multiple camps within the Hilal. The reason is that trying to determine, because in fiqh there are differences. Yeah. So there are ulama said 1,000 miles, others said like that's a limit.
Okay, so you're talking about distances of who should celebrate it.
Like where should you take your sighting from?
Yep.
Yeah. So for me personally, like, and I don't make a big issue about this in the masjid, I joke about it and whatever. And our mosque, the mosque that I'm imam in, alhamdulillah, is a good maturity and understanding. Look, I follow the National Hilal-sighting in Australia. The mosque follows the Board of Imams and whatever. The local Board of Imams.
How does that work out for you? Well, how does that
Nothing,
work out for them?
alhamdulillah, it's good. I organise a khatib for their day and so forth. And I don't think, because it's only 2 days a year, nobody cares about the first of Ramadan, the Hilal for the first of Ramadan. They care about the 2 Eids. They care about when they're going to have a barbecue with their mates and family. That's what really drives. A lot of it that is driving that. Is driving this thing. But I don't make a big issue about it because it's 2 days a year, and we don't need to we need to unite our community more and more. Like
that actually, sorry to interrupt, but shows a massive amount of maturity on the part of the committee there. I don't know many masjids that could actually pull that off and have an imam that celebrates on one day and they do it on another day, but the way it just flows seamlessly.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, we never had it.
I can't think. Can you imagine trying to do that in another masjid?
Not enough.
It would be crazy.
Yeah. No, there are some, but the thing is that it's like we need to become mature about the issue because it's a fiqh issue. It's not just a social issue. It has social ramifications, but it's not just a so I wanted to finish that point discussing about the Hilal sighting. How far do you take it, right? And where do you wait like to? So there's one camp which I'm sort of in link with, which is within mainland Australia, because we don't have anybody in Tasmania and Caucasus and Christmas Island to tell us, to give us information like that follows Hilal sighting. That you got to have people committed to the cause and you can trust them, and there's a reliable verification process where we can check the imams, because in each state, in each city, there are imams who follow Hilal sighting. It's nearly more than 100 ulama in Australia that follow Hilal sighting.
Really?
Yeah. So
we have that much ulama in Australia?
Yeah, we have probably, maybe 200-300. So 100 of them that we know of that and they're mainly in the East Coast, but in Western Australia and other places, even Northern Territory, there are people who follow Hilal sighting, that ulama, and then those people can verify any sightings that are there. People have to go to them. There's a process for it. That's the first, that's the group that I'm in terms of Hilal, that Dr. Shabir in Sydney, he's doing that for 30 years, month in, month out, every month.
He's been sighting the moon?
12 months a year, it's 30 years, yeah.
He goes and he actually
there's a track.
sights it.
Yeah, no, he's got a whole network of people that do that.
Subhanallah.
So there's a track record, right? There's a track
That's
record.
amazing.
It's a track record and it's consistent and it works, alhamdulillah. Now, there's another camp that follows, I think the Hizb ut-Tahrir guys, if I'm correct, they do global sighting. So they wait.
Heard that name.
So yeah, it's a political, they Khilafah and so forth. So I think they're based in Lebanon. So they wait for their headquarters there, who get sighting from all over the world, right? They do a global sighting, literally. The problem with that one is that it's not. I tried it once because in the Hanbali fiqh, which I practice, and in the Hanafi fiqh, this is also a view that you can take it from anywhere in the world, right? That's nicely said, but when you're at the beginning of the world in Australia,
you got a long way.
You got a long way. And what happened was I waited. The last place that I had to wait for was Senegal in West Africa, and Sierra Leone and Senegal. And the problem is to get the news, then verify it. It was already Fajr time here.
Yeah.
Right? So then I can see that that's not going to work. And you can't implement it on community-wise. Like you're waiting 15 minutes before Fajr, basically 2 or 3 hours before Eid Salat.
Yeah,
and then you're
how
going
do
to inform
get
the whole
news out to
community and so forth. So
Yeah.
it's not actually a practical solution for where we are in the world. Then you go. There's another group that says that we should follow the region, follow New Zealand. No, New Zealand. Practically, you can't follow beyond really Thailand. So that's Southeast Asian countries. So Thailand, Fiji, New Zealand. New Zealand's not going to see it before us. Many people don't understand how the world works. Like they actually don't know how geography works and how celestial bodies move. So they actually, sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the moon rise. So as the sun is going across the sunset is going across the world from east to west, right?
Yeah.
The sunset actually is moving. So we're in Melbourne now. It was sunset in Melbourne a little while back. If it's sunset here in Melbourne, right, then Adelaide is still, it's Asr time, or it's an hour or whatever.
You know what I'm thinking when you're saying this? When you sit on the flight and say you're flying overseas and then you have your flight map.
Yes.
And then you've got the darkness, like the dark, and then you've got the light.
Yeah, and it's moving across the world. Yes.
Yeah. When are we going to be able to do that next?
Yeah, so the thing is that it's people don't understand that as the time goes, the moon goes, as the sunset goes from east, as the time goes forward, from east to west. So by the time the sunset is in Perth, which is a couple of hours after us, the moon is older. You're more likely to see it there, right? So New Zealand's never going to see the Hilal before us, right? Some brothers from New Zealand this year, they said, they wanted to follow Australia. But I said, that's going to be very hard for you.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about the whole 12 months, number one. You got to think about...
What do you mean you have to think about the whole 12 months?
Well, see, our calendar is shorter, right? So every year we're going back into summer.
Yeah.
So just imagine in Melbourne, if we were in Melbourne, the East Coast, right? In summer, if Hilal, we wait till Western Australia, when they wrapped up, that's the last place in Australia, right? Broome and Perth and Fremantle, all those places.
Port Hedland.
Yeah. So once that's finished there, then we'll get a confirmation that Hilal was not seen, right? In summer, remember Aisha is 10:30.
Yeah.
right?
It's a late night.
And then in Perth, it's like 3 hours difference.
Subhanallah.
So their Maghrib is going to be like, we're going to be getting news 12:30.
1 o'clock.
12. Well, it's Maghrib time there, so it'd be 12:30, right? If you're in New Zealand,
Yeah.
what's the difference?
2:30.
Huh?
2:30.
Yeah, they're not. This is not. I told them, and they were like, "Huh?" So then I was like, they were like surprised. I said, like, you didn't think much. You got to project out like for if Ramadan was in every month of the year, right?
Yeah,
If it's about Ramadan, right? If that's the most important, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to think about the whole 12 months, right? So they're not going to be consistent. These guys are going to flip flop. This is like a new group that came apparently or something. They said, oh, we're going to take from Australia as well. So you have to draw a line somewhere
Yeah.
for practical reasons and so forth. So in Australia, like we had a conference 2-3 years ago, and in that conference, like about more than 20 ulama came, and we set some parameters for Australia to make sure we have a robust system of how witnesses are processed. We have a legitimate, witnesses, right?
Yeah.
So classically, they were going for an qadi. A qadi does not have to accept. Did not have to accept the witness. If he's not confident, he's a Muslim. He says La ilaha illallah. Yes, so what?
So, but isn't it just 2 male Muslims?
Yeah, but they're witnesses and they come before a qadi, a judge. So one of the ulama, Shaykh Al-Mu'ayz from Sydney, very beautifully, he went through Arabic texts and he goes, the judge is not under compulsion to accept the witness. It's like in a court, someone says witnesses come forward,
Yeah.
right? And there's some discrepancy and he doesn't feel confidence in the witness.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to accept. He's not forced. No one can compel the judge that you have to accept, unless it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that the witness is telling the truth. The judge has got some problem with him. But if there's some questions he asks, like for example, if you ask where did you see the hilal, as an example, just to check whether this guy really saw the moon or something else, and the moon is where the sun.
I looked at my reflection in the mirror.
The moon is in the west, right? When the sun sets, it should be just above it, right? And this guy points to the east. He points in the opposite direction. Mate, he saw something else. Or like the best one in Sydney, this happened. The witness said, where did you see the moon? So we know we have apps now where we can actually see where the position of the moon is. Usually it's close to the horizon. And it's such an Australian thing, because he pointed up to the sky between 2 gum trees. So it's like, because it was there when the moon should be there. So the moon is actually there, like on the horizon down.
Yeah.
It's hard to show this to people, but it's actually close to the horizon. This guy's pointing straight up. So whatever he's seen is definitely not the moon. So of course, that will become part of the judges. Now, we don't have judges here, but what we decided was it was agreed upon that Dr. Shabir in Sydney, who's been doing this for 30 years, that on behalf of all these 100 ulama, that he will be in the place of a judge and he will discern whether this person actually saw it. We're not invested in...
does he get paid for this?
No. This is something he does for the community for service.
So there's no other vested interest. I'm not trying to say.
And even it's like it's I've been abused because someone asked me. I said I follow Dr. Shabir. Said I got abused. I imagine what he's copped from people.
Yeah.
But so Allah reward him, mashallah, for keeping this sunnah alive and this practice of deen alive. So anyway, there's a process. Now what happens is, how far do we extend that process?
So,
and can we extend that process of discerning the witness is proper or not? How far do we go beyond? In Australia, we can check. We have ulama, they have a process, guidelines to follow. We can check the witness. Is he telling the truth or not telling the truth? Like, we can ask questions, check where did he see it, how he saw it. And if there's enough, inshallah, then, we will not reject the sighting because even if it goes against calculations. Like, we cannot reject it because... calculations also show you whether you should be able to see it or not. So we won't reject it. But, so there is a process. But if we extend it out, how far do we extend it? New Zealand doesn't count for us. No offense to New Zealanders. It doesn't count because they will not see it before us.
We love you, New Zealand.
Yeah, so
You guys are all right.
Fiji is unlikely they'll see before us. But somehow they see it. So this is the problem. Fiji, Indonesia... Malaysia doesn't even follow Hilal-sighting. They do calculations. That's the official stance of the government. I checked the ulama there myself. I called ulama there to check. They said we follow calculation. Even Indonesia, they told me they follow calculation. Indonesia got a sort of weird hybrid calculations plus sighting, but their definition of sighting is like I'm still like, a lot of stuff is in Indonesian. So it's like trying to understand what's actually going on. What's actually happening there is not clear. So because we're not the same jurisdiction, we can't even check the witnesses, right? And this has happened. People have commented on the corruption that's there in the country. These countries, generally third world countries, they're corrupt, and like whether it be Halal and whatever, there's a lot of dodgies that go on. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Okay.
Right up from the ulama organizations, unfortunately, like we are used to many non-corrupt institutes in Australia, whether it be we're just used to
it just works. It
a
just
police
runs.
force that generally is not corrupt. There are corruption, but at very high levels. And that gets found out. So there, even the ulama bodies, there's like question marks on some of the things, like especially when it comes to halal meat trades. There's ulama, they get bribed.
Oh, mate, that's a conversation in itself.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. But what I'm saying is that because it's not our jurisdiction and we can't even check it, how are we gonna? They said they're Muslims and so forth. Yeah, they're Muslims also.
What do we do in Australia? So you're telling me about the world, but what I'm saying
No,
is,
but that's related to Australia. I'm talking about Australia. So some of the people are following the region, they're following Indonesia. But the problem is that what happened was 1 year, this happened after the conference, some people said that we should follow the region. And they went on about it. And the ulama disagreed, so we're going to stick to, the majority said we'll stick to within Australia, that specific committee. And we'll consider the region because we have more information that comes to light. What happened was the next Eid that came, the immediate Eid after was Eid al-Adha. This was between Ramadan and Eid al-Adha, the conference. What happened was Indonesia had it the same day as the Hilal-sighters in Australia. What did those people said to follow the region? Who did they go with? They went with Saudi Arabia.
what?
Yeah. So they didn't even stick to, as long as Indonesia was sticking to Saudi Arabia, you see, and the reason why they stick to Saudi Arabia was because these specific sheikhs they're from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So they want to stick to their back home country.
But didn't they say they wanted to stick to the region?
That's what they said. Then
Then
literally
why
1 month
did
later,
they
they.
Yeah.
So
I don't get that, yeah.
consistency, it has to be a consistent system that works 12 months a year throughout the whole.
So these Hilal-sighters are actually every month going out and checking.
Yeah, there's brothers in Australia that go out
every month.
Every month.
It's actually an organization, the Hilal-sighting.
Every month.
SubhanAllah. I just thought it was just for Ramadan. And
Yeah,
Eid.
man.
No,
that's-
12 months a year they do it.
And so
SubhanAllah.
this is the start of
Yeah.
the month for this month. This is this.
Yeah, they send out a message as well. And
Inshallah.
yeah,
That's amazing.
alhamdulillah, it's
So
brothers.
it's proper comprehensive.
Alhamdulillah. Like some years ago, it's quiet, whatever. They do every 12 months, every month without fail for the last 30 years.
I don't
Without
think there's
fail.
much knowledge about this committee, about this group.
Those who know, they know.
That's the thing. Those who know, they need to.
Yeah,
They need
so
to
you need to
tell.
know. You need to-
know-how.
No, but mashallah, like what I'm saying is that's what I follow. But alhamdulillah, the brother Allah reward them for their efforts.
may Allah
Beyond that, there's brothers, you cannot say the people who follow global sighting, actual Hilal sighting, are wrong. So even though I follow national, but those who follow global,
Yeah,
that's a legitimate view.
that was
Because
Those
they've
who,
used their eyes.
those who follow
reason for that
no,
is-
no, those who follow the region, they're also they're also correct if they follow a region. Because
Are
Us
any of
this-
them wrong?
huh?
Are any of them wrong?
No, that's what I'm saying. None of
Yeah.
the actual Hilal sighters, they're wrong in any way.
Yeah, okay.
Because they've decided to draw it at a certain point. But the thing is that you got to be consistent. You got to
Yeah.
do consistent 12 months a year, and you got to do it for the long term. You can't just flip and flop. And I found within Australia, I found myself personally, I found peace in that,
Yes.
and I found that it's consistent and so forth. Those who follow other they can't even tell you what the process is in Fiji or in Indonesia or Thailand or any other country. And then there's the people who follow Saudi Arabia, and the vast majority of the ulama of this ummah tell you just each country does its own sighting. The ulama in Makkah, Medina tell you each country does its own sighting. The Saudi one is also, that's another thing, because that's a big question mark. That's a topic in itself, but that's a big question mark over their sighting, because there is the calculation tells you one thing, then they go on, they give you this romantic notion of it's a desert, the Arabian desert. Then I checked actually visibility maps of like, should you be able to see two things? It's the same town, two towns, Sudair and Tumair, that the same guys that see it for some reason.
Every year?
Nobody sees it in Saudi. They've got 6 committees that go out. All of them come negative. One family sees it in Sudair and Tumair. But anyway, that's well known and documented and criticized. And then I checked those towns. It's just north of Riyadh. I checked the towns, like, what's the visibility like? It must be made, because actually maps are visibility maps, like
Yeah, there is,
pollution maps.
Yeah.
it is one of the most polluted places in the world because of the oil, burning of the oil. So they've actually got maps you can see all. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is the Hilal is on the horizon, so it's always dusty because of the sand, because it's desert.
Yeah.
So many ulama have, Mufti Saeed Palampuri, rahimahullah, he passed away recently, the Shaykh al-Hadith of Darun Deoban in India. So he said that, like he stopped going for, like he goes, I understood because every country after it didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because every country that's got, like Egypt, right up to Morocco, nobody sees it. The whole of Africa doesn't see it.
Yeah.
But in Saudi, they see it. Yeah. So, like it's you're not dealing with Sahaba. Yeah, it's the same land.
We've
it's the
had
same
this
land, but
conversation.
you're not dealing with Sahaba radiallahu anhu. So the other thing that in the mix of all of this is, you said about naked, Abdul Wajid, you mentioned about naked eye sight. So is naked eye sighting, like, do you limit it that? Do you limit it to telescope binoculars where a direct light is coming into binoculars and you're seeing it?
Well, I heard
How much
Or
technology can you use? That's the question.
And then
in one country they sent a fighter jet up into the sky.
That's yes.
I heard that. Does that even make sense?
Or is it, well, that is seeing it, so that's you're going above the
We're
clouds.
buying a plane next year, Lata.
Yeah, and then I don't think the board of Imam has that much money, but it's a hot air balloon.
The Melbourne hot air balloon.
but we can go above. I don't think it goes above the clouds. But the third one was is they're using these. See, what's in Indonesia? This is another issue as well. None of these have been resolved. I don't think these have been resolved sufficiently in whatever I'm reading. That they're using telescopes, but you're not actually looking through the telescope. You got like a big screen that you're looking at.
Oh yeah.
And then
okay.
they're applying filters. Actually, you can see the Hilal in broad daylight. So like because it's using like a screen, infrared, and different things that they're using in it. So they're coming up with a image, but that's like even before the Hilal will be ever seen, you're seeing it. So then you got that as well.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line with that? So that's another layer that adds complexity to the issue as well. Alhamdulillah, like in Australia, that's what I follow. Other brothers follow the region. For me, that's a non-issue, right?
Yeah.
Even if I have Eid on a different day, my friends, they have Eid on a different day. My family has Eid on a different day.
Yeah.
But I think if it's about unity, then I don't think we can be united in differences. We can. I gave a solution in the mosque, and maybe we'll finish off with this. But I said, have a barbecue just before Maghrib. Right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So you guys can start eating, and then they can join you after. They can break their fast, So you're having your Eid barbecue in the late afternoon, and they can join you as well, and you basically sharing a day.
Yeah,
that's a solution, I guess. But some people will be upset because they will be, like you're eating a fast in front of them. But if they're not going to change and they're following a ulama and they're following global sighting or something, all right, some leeway can be given. Allahu A'lam. I don't know. That's the only solution I can come. Have a barbecue. Before Maghrib.
But make sure you get your meat not from a cartel.
Yes.
What is going on in Malaysia?
mate.
40 years. What was it? 40 years of non-halal meat consumption. Tell us about it, Sheikh Lata. It's crazy. It's madness.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? It was basically this one cartel that was, if you guys know, correct me, but they were pretty much paying off
the officials
to basically bring in, mixed meats that aren't halal, like kangaroo
officials
meat,
at borders and
horses,
the halal.
horse meat.
Even I think Jackim as well, the halal authority there.
Yeah.
And they were paying off so many levels and different departments. I think like 4 or 5 departments.
It's crazy.
And they got exposed by a newspaper. I think it's like,
well, the way what happened was because the meat was coming from countries that are not certified anyway.
China,
And
Vietnam.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And it's passing through border control without anyone checking. And the way they got busted was 1,500 tons of meat were caught at the border. I think it was $9.3 million Australian value or something. And so for some random reason, an inspection was done, and that's how they were caught. It was probably the guy's first day on the job. He's turned up.
Do you think it was just a random inspection, or
maybe
someone did a bad deal or
No,
didn't get paid enough?
No. It was a journalist. No, it was exposed by it was investigative journalist that actually
Was
They-
it?
Yeah.
So
They went
it
after
wasn't
him.
the guy at
They raised the alarm. They did a story. Then the official body denied it because no, we know our official this that. So then they went in again, like they went in more deeper and kept on going until they exposed the Halal El Chapo.
So for four,
That's they found
the cartel.
the cartel. Yeah, they've exposed the.
I wonder if they were bringing the meat through on those light aircraft and
Oh man,
submarines and
don't
stuff.
say that, bro.
You know how they bring them through.
But they were
in,
selling pork. I mean, this happens in Pakistan as well. In Pakistan, see, the good thing in this story is even though it happened for 40 years, and
Kangaroo meat, horse meat.
Malaysia is considered like the best probably in halal at a national level in the
Oh
world.
man,
Like
all the stories I heard about halal, like
No, no,
halal
but-
burgers, halal this, halal that in
No,
Malaysia.
but the thing is
Oh, the
that the
halal
fact that
KFC
it
is
was the fact
phenomenal.
that it's I consider it as a positive thing. And the Mufti of I think Kelantan or one of the northern provinces, he gave a fatwa and he said that the sin of all of this is on the people that were involved in it. Those who took the bribes, those who took things, because the government is trying, and so the fact that it's exposed shows you that actually that the system works, and they did
Yeah.
catch them. Yeah, it took 40
Yeah,
years,
but
But and
40
it's not,
years
and
later,
it's
that's a
not
generation.
It's not like it's the whole. All the meat was haram. It's
Yeah.
like one cartel on dealing one company.
No,
one
there was a
company.
few cartels.
Yeah, but the whole. It doesn't mean that everything was haram in the country,
Yeah.
right? Because the amount of meat that comes in the country. This was like a small. I mean, this happens in Melbourne as well. Like in Melbourne, there's Muslim businesses. I know because brothers work for these people, and they. Like they wouldn't advertise halal per se, but if any Muslim came in and said, yeah, it's halal, and these are Muslims.
Yeah.
They will sell haram meat to other Muslims. So it happens in Australia.
Yeah,
as well. If you
there's
don't fear Allah, then these are the things that people are
Or
going to
they
get up
if you
to.
ask if it's halal, they get really offended. I
Yeah.
always find if the person's
the
getting
fact
really
that they-
offended,
the-
you need to double check.
Oh, if you
If you ask her, is this halal, and they get really cut,
yeah, why should they? Like in this
Then
time and
you have
age,
to double
like in
check.
Pakistan, I was reading an article. Like in Pakistan, who's going to check there? What bodies they have to check? Like the corruption is so much more than Malaysia.
Yeah.
They found actually someone did a test or something. They found donkey meat, Pakistan, donkey meat, pork.
no.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
in Pakistan,
way.
yeah. You read it, just Google it. You'll find articles on what goes on. Unfortunately, the worst is like in the UK, halal meat in the UK. They did DNA tests. They found pork in kebabs, halal kebabs. So yeah, these are the things that like unfortunately.
So maybe those brothers that are so anal or particular about where their meat comes from, they're onto something.
Yeah. Like I have. They should not apologize for checking if their meat is more halal. Like they ask, people should not take offense to it.
Actually, yeah, dude, because people do say, "Oh,
somebody
you're making
asks
such
you-
a big deal. It's halal." You know what? It does
No.
happen. Like, why are you making such a big deal about
Yeah.
it? Why are you going so deep into this? It's simple
Yeah, because
stuff.
my ibadah's on the line, and I don't want to put haram in my. If I knew that I came to your house, and I know that you've slaughtered the animal with your own hands, yeah, I wouldn't ask like that.
Always check when you come to my house, mate.
Huh?
Coles has always got sales going on.
Astaghfirullah. Yeah. So anyway, like,
never eating it.
look, I think its exposure is now they're going to be more vigilant.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be checking. I mean, the one I heard from one brother was telling me that they did butter test on butter, which is stamped halal in Australia. Butter, yeah, butter.
Okay.
All right, you're about to give me a heart attack, right?
And
bro.
they did DNA, Jackham, they did a DNA test
here
in
we
Malaysia, and they found pork DNA in it.
Oh,
So,
Go the vegan
huh?
butter,
Yeah.
vegetarian butter.
Allah Alam,
The
you know.
vegans are
I don't
onto
know where
something.
you
No,
where
actually, you
go.
know what's really nice? The Aldi olive oil butter. There's a plug for Aldi. They should be paying us money again. But Aldi olive oil butter. That's actually really nice.
Okay.
Or olive butter.
Audi,
or
if
some
you're listening,
crap.
please.
Audi, if you're listening. Next time you have your camping sale, I want to be first in line.
So yeah, look, I think I see this as a positive. Like it got exposed.
But do you think they'll get caught? They've arrested one person.
No,
whose
they've
name they haven't
arrested more.
released?
No, I read there's arrested much more.
They have?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there has to
And
be
they're
more
trying
than
to
one
get
person involved into this.
the head honchos, who's actually
The El Chapo.
the El Chapo.
The
They're
El
after El
Chapo.
Chapo now. Yeah.
Where is he?
El Chapo
He's in hiding in a.
of Laham.
In a
Yeah, the El Chapo.
where is he?
Yeah. Anyway,
This is the guy who's got the secret submarine that he's bringing the non-halal meat across the border. In the US, they've got their own submarines, the cartels, where they bring the coke across the border.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
let's
anyway. Lost in translation there, people.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. We have a problem. Somebody parked the car in the driveway of his neighbor. Please remove the car immediately. Your salah will not be accepted. So please remove the car.
So now we come to our segment, who's blocking the driveway? So as we explained last week, these are the people that drain our life and make it just a little bit harder to say this person should be breathing or continue breathing. Okay, that was a bit harsh, but you get what I'm saying. What are we at today? This week we have a special one. Who would like to bring it in?
people who run away from quarantine, hotel quarantine.
Anti-maskers?
Not anti-maskers. That's a different category. But let's just stick to the people who run away from quarantine.
Mate, some of these guys should be in the Olympic Games.
Yeah, that lady, she was Northern Territory. They just lost. I think some people are just losing the plot in quarantine. 2 weeks inside, there's one lady. She goes, "I need air." She had on a glass. "I need air." I think fresh air, but she goes,
That's fair.
Yeah,
you know what? I relate. I can feel that.
I need air. There was another one. The lady, she ran away. She jumped the fence.
This is the Northern Territory, right?
Yeah, they caught her 15 minutes. I mean, she's gonna die out there. Like,
have you seen that photo? I know you jumped the fence. We're going to run to crocodile-infested waters. Yeah. Let me swim across this river because that's so much better than 14 days quarantine.
And she's from Victoria. It's like, where are you going to go? From Northern Territory? You're going to walk to Victoria?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What about that couple? Sorry, she got arrested what?
In 15 minutes, she got arrested.
Yeah.
after climbing
hitching a hike from a police car. What about those guys? Melbourne Airport last week. They get off and they were directed by the police or the authorities. You need to be in quarantine. So
where were they from?
New South Wales. So they did a runner from the airport. I mean, if I did that, straight away I'm getting locked up for other reasons. Yeah. The beard doesn't help. Like we would be looked at. Yeah. But here you have this, young white Australian couple running out. Everyone's probably, they're going to miss their plane. They're just running the wrong way though. There's a car waiting outside. They jump in the car.
Get away.
National manhunt. They turn themselves in Goulburn.
That doesn't even make sense. They fly from Sydney.
Because they didn't want to spend 14 days quarantine, so they went back.
But what did they come to Melbourne for?
To chill out. I don't know.
And then straight away they left.
Because they didn't want to quarantine. The authority said you've got to quarantine for 14 days. So because they had to quarantine for 14 days, what happens? They do a runner. And imagine this, you're driving across the border. You got to feel pretty tough. We got away from the Melbourne Airport authorities. And then next minute, what happens? National manhunt, the photos everywhere. So they're like, all right, we better turn ourselves in. This is getting scary.
Yeah, so these are people
$19,000
that become
each.
An obstacle for others. They just make it hard. And now we're copying it like with the cases. These people that don't listen and they don't, they can't seem to stay in a place, like in a room, But there was some funny, you look at some of the people that are in quarantine, some of their online stuff.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Where do you get this
some
from?
funny, just go online, just search people, how's quarantine been or whatever. And it's just some funny people. Some people just, like they got schedules. They made like a bingo, like a quarantine bingo, like 1 hour yoga, 1 hour of exercise,
right.
1 hour of, so they got to they know how to keep busy. Some people just don't have lives. Like they really don't know how to use they're not imaginative. Like some people, you look at some of them very creative. They had fun in quarantine.
Yeah.
And then other people are just like, I need air, or jumping fences and whatever. I guess it will be hard. My students went. I think I mentioned before that two of my students that went through it, they were stuck in quarantine in Malaysia for a month.
A month?
Yeah.
On their own in a hotel?
No, hotel. They stayed like in this center, like an intermediate center. And then they were like in the madrasa they had like 200 cases or something. This is like right at the early days.
Yeah.
Then they got stuck. Then they had to go like an exit quarantine out of the country. So then they had to like stay.
Oh my
and then they had to come to Australia and do a 2-week quarantine in Australia. If you ask them, they went through something. So like these people that are not I don't know, like they need Like you've got Netflix, you got
We're not used to it. But we're not used to not being told don't go anywhere. We're not used to being put in one place. I mean, we're very lucky in Australia that, you know, if you want fresh air, you can actually open the door and go out. You can open your window, so you do get that fresh air. Now imagine that being taken away. And as a culture, we are generally outdoor people.
Yeah. still, it's just frustrating.
I know
to
you're not
watch
going to
it.
agree with
They
me
do
on
hit
this
it,
one,
yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
get
they
it.
do my hitting.
They should not make it hard for everybody else.
Well, the danger is if somebody does have COVID and they've run out of quarantine, what you've just done is exponentially increased.
And they become one of
infections
those super spreaders.
Well, you've exponentially increased the exposure in the community. Imagine these two guys that ran from the airport.
They
Now,
should send them to
driving-
Woomera or
Driving all the way to...
Akapanyal or something really far.
But it was an army base. So
No, that's
driving,
where they used to send refugees. The
yeah,
first,
but driving all the way to Goulburn, stopping for petrol, all of these things.
they're putting
Yeah.
the community at risk.
That's tough.
That's the worst part about it is they're taking all these risks. And
That's the issue I have. Like, it's not about I get...
like I was watching a video of a quarantine and the guy pops his head out, like the filming. He pops his head out of in the aisle of the hotel. At the end of the hotel, there's a security guard sitting, you know. So it seems that the whole hotel quarantine is not very... That guy goes for a break. They have to make sure that...
Oh, there'd be a replacement, 100%.
No, there is. But, you know, it's one guy basically watching. They probably have a second layer of probably security. But anyway,
they all do a runner.
it's funny, like there's a lady in Western Australia. She's like in 40s or whatever, and she ran out of quarantine, and she's like a denier of COVID and whatever, and I think she got jail time. Yeah. So she's like a COVID denier.
I can't believe we still have COVID deniers.
You still got dumb people. What can you do? What can you do? You know, and they're giving big fines, $13,000. So that's maybe teach them a lesson, inshallah.
I wonder what does COVID deniers do when they, like, if one of them actually got COVID, like, would they still deny it? Do you know what I mean? Anyways,
I don't know. Maybe
it's like, this isn't COVID. This is something else.
No, there's so many in the US had died.
Okay,
ones
if you
that
do
denied
not
it.
believe in COVID, please leave something in the comment section. Tell us why COVID is fake.
Yeah. All right. That's it for today, inshallah.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. And if you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. COVID deniers, we're waiting to hear from you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.